Apparently all it takes to get an Emmy these days is to create a slanderous video on an entire culture full of misinformation. Yes, I just learned that in the 44th News and Documentary nominations list is none other than Vice News for The Dark Side of Manga, which is a very kind way of labeling inside the pedophilic manga industry in Japan, a disgusting video made by Japan-hating Vice News, a news source that seems to think that Japan is a breeding ground for CP. All because they don't want to restrict drawing young characters, while simultaneously, Vice defends actual predators with articles such as a file opens up about being targeted, a child victim on why society should be more empathetic to most child abusers are not experts say. And oh yes, the famous one, the only thing controversial about Cuties is how badly Netflix marketed it. It's a surprise to wonder how the reporter in this video was so offended by what she's seen at Anime Japan, when all of her colleagues seem to be perfectly fine with actual stuff, like real stuff. Not drawn stuff, real stuff. Am I getting my point across? But hey, that's a double standard we as anime fans face on a daily basis. Anime and manga is horrible and needs to be censored. Yet the outraged partake and ignore everything else around them. Shoot, when this actual video by Vice was released 8 months ago, I wondered why they didn't make a video on human traffickers that are right in their front door. You know, again, actual victims, real life victims. But hypocrisy aside, this nomination is honestly a bad thing. If the video itself got way more attention than it should have and spread so much misinformation, I feel like this nomination is going to make it more public than ever, and that bothers me. Honestly, if it was an actual honest piece, I wouldn't mind it, but there's so many errors within it and it carries an actual lack of evidence. So if you did not see that video 8 months ago, you might be wondering what's so wrong with this video. Before I get into that, I have to make it perfectly clear. I'm not a fan of certain things like the manga they showed in this actual hit piece. Very young depictions unsettles me, but I'm a firm believer in freedom of expression and freedom of speech. It was the same case with the whole Pixiv banning of young characters. It's a slippery slope to get into, and it will eventually stifle all creativity. What's uncomfortable for the masses is unlimited and can never be stopped once that door opens. I personally don't want to be in a society where eventually when somebody's drawing a character and then suddenly somebody looks over their shoulder and says, I think that looks too young. That character is too petite. That 30-year-old short stack that you drew, that's probably a kid. That's the place I don't want to be. But why this video is bad? It's a hit piece that creates a correlation that is very toxic to a problem at hand, labeling this is the reason why real young people are abused. It creates a distraction from the real crime, real victims, and real solutions. It's like I said earlier, why focus on this and not human trafficking? Why focus on this and not real CP? Why focus on this and not laws and better punishment? It's a distraction. It's a joke. For the most part, this video is a misrepresentation of both law and problem of abuse. It opens up with a reporter going to Anime Japan and freaking out about young characters on the posters. The biggest scare for them was Kana from Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid. She was in a swimsuit. Oh, where's my pearls to clutch? Again, somebody from Vice who has all those other articles defending actual real life predators. Are we getting the connection here? It's a holier than thou standpoint as she walks into this place. And honestly, me seeing her being upset by Kana in a swimsuit makes me immediately think, you find that appealing? It sounds like you're the problem. And honestly, her being offended by that is a prime case number one of that slippery slope that she's proposing. Ban this stuff. That is too much skin. Ban this. Again, it's not just about the ones that are the worst. It's not about that manga that she eventually sees that this mangaka Shinji shows her. It's because that's enough to be offended. That needs to be censored. That's why this video is so dangerous. But yes, at Anime Japan, she meets this guy named Shinji. He's a mangaka, and he makes a logical argument. You can't create laws just because of personal objection. That's not how law works. That's not how you take away freedoms. See, Japan is not a culture of knee-jerk reactions to make laws like other countries are. As the assembly member they interview later on, Minoru Ogino states later on, there's no evidence that it leads to criminal acts. They only make laws and regulations based on scientific basis. Their laws are based on the will of the people. Just because you walk into his door with some unsettling drawing doesn't mean that he's going to suddenly go, oh my gosh, take everybody's rights away. You don't get to dictate what is too far. They're not going to dictate what's too far. But he says if they find a correlation, the people will decide. They will change it. That's how this works. Stating that, well, look at these statistics showing that more people are committing these crimes and more people are being prosecuted, but still Japan is way less than any other country. Japan seems like it's doing a lot better job than the US. Again, look at your own backyard and stop looking for a cause that doesn't have any correlation or scientific proof. The problem is there's no factual basis for creating laws and infringing on the rights of people's art and expression, no matter if you think it looks disgusting. But anyhow, Vice goes on to make the biggest flub possible in this video. They explain that US has laws that Japan doesn't, that just being caught in the US with manga that was sold in Japan with young characters can end you up in jail for up to 15 years, branding you as an offender for your entire life. This is a lie. Under code 2256, it has to meet 2 criteria. It has to be indistinguishable to the real thing, and it doesn't apply to drawings, cartoons, sculptures, paintings. Again, bold-faced lie. Again, this is where they're standing there going, we're so great. Us over here, we're so great. Japan, they're evil. They don't even have laws. Japan has the same laws. They protect real individuals. They don't stop drawings. I mean, you want proof? Do you guys want proof? This is a really easy way to show this is a lie. This video that I'm talking about is on YouTube. It's on US servers. What's in that video? What they're talking about. There's panels. They show the girl in the video in these panels. If this was against the law in the US, that video would have been taken down and they would be cited for a crime. It doesn't exist in the US. Shoot, the video is even marked as family friendly. And it's got ad supports, which I'll probably not have on this video. As much as I'm dodging it, I'm probably not gonna have it in this video, despite them having ad support. Again, more misinformation that paints Japan as some sort of evil organization for CP. The Vice hit piece goes on to having them go to Shinji's place, and he shows them a manga that he's been drawing. Something, again, I find personally disgusting. But I find a lot of things disgusting. Key thing is, I don't believe in banning others' right to do such. And even as they note in the video itself, this is only sold to adults. As long as it doesn't harm others, again, I just say don't touch it. But that's what this hit piece wants to sort of prove. It wants to draw a correlation between the two. That if you watch this, if you read this, you will actually act it out in real life. And man, do they fail at this miserably. They managed to fail this so miserably. They talked to a convicted abuser who clearly states that he was drawn to young kids when he was younger. And he continued to do so all the way into college. And that was the point in which he started reading manga that depicted this stuff. Meaning, he was already a predator before he even read it. Thus completely debunking what the video is trying to say. That this causes this. But hey, I can give them a leeway here. Maybe it just enhanced it somehow. But remember, it doesn't prove it either. And what's worse is that later on in the video, they talk to a therapist that says the complete opposite as to what this guy just said. He claims that people aren't born to be predators. That it's something that culture and manga is creating. Again, you just talked to this guy over here, and he's trying to justify what he did because he read the manga, even though he was already thinking about it. It completely breaks everything Vice is trying to do here. Again, it's tying crap together to make a case for law that isn't supported by facts. Painting it all in a we're holier than thou, listen to us type of way. It's condescending as hell, which is a wonder why it was blocked in Japan and the comments disabled. I think the bigger issue of this video is, like I said, it's a misdirection of the root of evil. It's shining a light on this as the root of the cause and why people are sick in the head. It's giving an excuse and ignoring true criminals. That whole interview with that actual predator, that convicted predator in that Vice video, he's literally trying to go, oh yes, that's right, this is what caused it. No, he was already a predator. He was already sick in the head, and you're giving him an excuse. This is why. You're not really sick. This is why, right? Oh yeah, that's why. That's why. Japan has laws against real abuse. It has laws against real CP. It took them a while, but they got it. Could it be stronger and more harsh? Yes. Yeah, definitely. Which that right there is a valid thing to highlight. Highlight the fact that guy that you interviewed got out way too early. The fact that he's still alive. Off with him. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that. He actually touched children. Get rid of him. Don't highlight an excuse for him. The US and other nations have plenty, if not more, of the same art. You can search any cartoon in America and find an appropriate stuff for it. This isn't new to Japan. Japan isn't an isolated case. Again, nobody's arguing that you can't find characters in compromising positions to be uncomfortable. The issue is who draws the line. The issue is who is the person that claims, I know what you should and shouldn't do, when it doesn't affect real people. I'm the last one that wants to draw something and have somebody look over my shoulder and say, that looks too young to gel with you. Freedoms are hard to obtain and often requires bloodshed, but it should be harder to lose.